listening to the Otasso Outdoors Podcast.
Do. Sounds pretty good, even for being sick.
I don't know if
cold.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
You better pull her a couple other fingers there.
Just 2 fingers.
2 fingers. Yeah.
That was for the video viewers, not the audio viewers.
Peace.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Otasso Outdoors Podcast. I am Caleb. I'm your host. And I am joined by one of my 2 co-hosts this evening, Reed Robinson.
Howdy.
If you are tuning into the show for the first time, you're not going to notice anything different. But if you're one of our regular viewers on YouTube, you'll notice that Reed is out of place.
I'm in Hunter's chair today.
Because we realized when it's just the 2 of us,
Just the 2 of us.
it's pretty rough because we're like looking this way at each other and it's not.
And you guys are right there, rather than me going like, hey, Caleb. Also, I've noticed like a crink in my neck like crazy lately. I don't know if it's from looking over at you doing podcast all the time or if I need a new pillow, but...
Probably a pillow.
No, I've had the same pillow for years, and it just started.
Is it a My Pillow?
No, I support Mr. My Pillow. I forget his name, Michael Lindell.
Lindell.
Have you tried his slippers?
My Pillow. Should we get them down here in the pod bunker?
Oh, honestly, no. You just need them for up north on the dock. They're insane. It's like literally walking on little baby ducks. They're so nice.
Walking on baby ducks.
Think about it. It's like what you would think of. It's what they feel like under your foot.
Just little.
Yeah, just with less squishing and more fluffing.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah. Less blood.
Yeah.
Less guts. But I don't know. I don't like the My Pillows. Like, I don't think they're that comfy. They're too whatever. I like what the guy supports. I'm all about him. Election fraud, exposing the cabal. He's red-pilled enough for me to support him, but
all of the above.
I really don't like his pillow all that well.
Back to the intro. If you're tuning in for the first time, you're likely to find one of 3 segments. Segment number 1 is Whatcha Got Buddy. That is where we bring headlines, pre-prepared articles, and we discuss them at length. Segment number 2
is our Spotlight series, where we search our network of people in the outdoors industry, find out who's making a splash and making moves. We hunt them down, we bring them into the pod bunker, and we bring you guys along for the ride, finding out who they are. Segment number 3.
Some of them are actually legitimately making splashes as well.
Oh, yeah, John Dirk is probably in the water about now. Actually, he has been in the water. The walleye are spawning.
Yeah?
He was doing some little spirit fingers, showing me some walleye running.
We're excited to get out with him this summer.
Little John Dirk spirit fingers.
Exactly.
That's all I want. Segment number 3.
Segment number 3 is our head-to-head series. That is a game show / trivia where one of us brings a bunch of questions in and the members of the pod bunker go head-to-head and we crown a winner at the end.
We should play that tonight.
Instant winner.
Yeah.
I'm a little slow.
Yeah.
That'd be a good way to secure.
No, it's all right. You're jet lagged still. You don't know it. Coming back from Switzerland.
Back from the Alps.
Did you bring any chocolate home?
We brought a lot of chocolate home. I also brought some cigars back too.
Swiss cigars.
Yeah. So there's this company called Davidoff.
Mm-hmm.
Very well known, like super prestigious cigar brand. Started in London, but they're big in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Winston Churchill was known for smoking Davidoffs, but I went to their flagship store, and in the flagship store, they actually had a cigar Swiss blend. It's like a special cigar only can get at the stores in Switzerland. That's
Really?
The only place in the world you can buy them. So I have 2.
Yeah. What are you going to save them for?
I don't know.
Your first Moon and Crockett?
Maybe. I don't know if I can have that kind of patience.
Maybe not. Do they have a cigar in the store that's like half smoked by Winston?
No.
I feel like that'd kind of be...
No. It was like the watch capital of the world too. So for those of you guys outside of the outdoors, like I'm a watch nut. I love watches, I love hunting, and I love cars. And Switzerland is like the watch capital of the world.
Yeah, Swiss watches.
So I was a kid in a candy store. It was like,
What was the most expensive one you saw?
oh,
Most expensive, most rare, the one that you freaked out about the most. Do a little watch segue.
Jeez, oh Pete's. There was probably the most expensive one I saw was the Patek Philippe Nautilus. I forget the actual reference number, but I had chronograph, and I want to say they're like 120 grand.
Oh my gosh.
One of the craziest that I saw was a Richard Mille.
What'd you call me?
Richard.
You Richard.
They are not my favorite watches. I don't like how they look. They're very sporty, really, really big in like the YouTuber, like new money realm.
Yep.
I saw one of those that was worth like 1.2. Ooh. Those are very rare. They're hard to come by depending on which model it is. One of my favorites was a Cartier. It's like a square case, but it's a skeleton. So skeleton is like you can see all the way through. Like normal watches like this, you have your dial, but you can't see the movement. Mm-hmm. And it's square, and you can see all the way through to your wrist, and you can see the movement and everything moving and keeping time. Super beautiful. Like, to me,
art.
Yes, that's exactly why I like watches. It is like the last frontier of actual like works of art. So that's why I have an appreciation for it. So that was cool.
Wonderful. Well, welcome back from Switzerland. Was there any hunting activities that could be found while you were with the Swiss?
Red stag.
Really?
There were red stag that were there. That was cool. We also went up to the Matterhorn, which is like a famous like mountain in Switzerland, and they're very well known up there for ibex.
Really?
And there were ibex Euro mounts on all of these ski chalets.
Mm-hmm.
They look super spooky. Their horns are like maleficent.
Yeah, they're nuts. What's the did you get a vibe or a feel for what the hunting culture was like while you were there?
Non-existent.
Really?
Bunch of, like we've talked before, lots of croissants.
What's all?
Tight pants.
Ugh.
And macchiatos.
I forgot about the tight pants and the cortados.
The cortados. I will say, part of me thinks a lot of the European boys got all like the alpha male genes got all killed,
bred out
in World War II.
Oofta.
And so they got the leftovers because there's just, I don't know. You walk around there and it's very easy to tell who's an American.
Really?
Yeah, just by how they dress. Like the fashion is incredible. Like these guys know how to dress very, very well. Way different than us.
Sounds like I'd blend right in over there.
Yeah, no, not at all. It was very easy.
In my area
it was
bars.
Very easy to spot Americans. You're walking down the road and you're like, real treat. Nah. Cowboy boots. Nobody wears hats. Like baseball hats.
Really?
Like we spent an entire day in these cities walking around, and I was the only person I saw wearing a baseball hat. I think that must be a big American thing.
Yeah, because like, I don't know, I'd probably bet, 30%? 30% of the people that I run into on a regular basis are wearing a hat, and like, that's...
30 I think would be low. I'd say it's like 40, 60, or 50, 50.
You reckon?
I think so.
We ought to look that up sometime.
Probably.
Demographically.
So that was really interesting too. Lots of observations over there. But yes, Europe is not the same as America. Felt good to get home.
Thank goodness, yeah.
First thing I did is went in an Ace Hardware. I was like, we're home, baby.
You stared at the tools. Look at that gear wrench.
Yep.
Then you're off to do your thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys clicked on it, so you know what it is tonight. We've got Whatcha Got Buddy. Hey. This will be a quickie because there's only two of us in here. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
I'll start. Yeah.
Go for it.
All right. This was written by a non-hunter already because the headline I can already tell. Gobble gobble, the comeback of Michigan's wild turkey. So this is a little fun because this is an outside perspective, somebody that's not in the hunting community. But, when we talk about turkey hunting, as it is turkey season, turkey hunting in Michigan is pretty darn good. Lower Peninsula, we enjoy it. You see birds a lot. All my buddies that have been out so far have been putting birds down like crazy. Phenomenal. But I remember talking to my gramps, and he was like, oh, back when I was young, there was no turkeys. And so I started thinking, where does all the turkeys coming from? So anyways.
Reproduction.
Boning. Wild turkeys can be found across Michigan roosting in trees and strutting and puffing out their feathers. That wasn't always the case. By the turn of the 20th century, wild turkey populations across the state were decimated due to destruction of critical habitat and unregulated hunting. Gives a little bit of factoids about turkeys. Found out that they can swim. Did not know that turkeys could swim.
That's interesting.
So if they need to, turkeys will swim. Obviously, like everybody knows that they can fly. They're not great at it. They don't enjoy it. They're mostly a ground bird.
How can they swim? They don't have waterproof feathers, do they?
I think they're water resistant.
I would just love to see one just floating like a goose.
Just chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe it. It's like because deer swim. Like deer can swim.
We saw it. Remember that one time? So,
in the
guys,
pond back.
yeah, so fun. This is how urban our area is. When we were building out the pod bunker, it was like a really warm November day, like peak rut, still in like the 60s or 70s. We were sitting outside having Chipotle for dinner while we took a break, and we're sitting in the backyard watching these doe. They're feeding maybe 15 yards from us, like really close, like close enough, like they're comfortable. And all of a sudden, this little 8-point buck is on the other side of the pond. Our pond is like a heart shape. There's this little peninsula, and it's probably 10 yards from the edge of the pond to the peninsula, 10 or 15 maybe.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Something like that. And he's just grunting up a storm. Just grunting, wants to get to all the ladies. Next thing we know, he walks down in the pond, and instead of going around, he's swimming across the pond to get to these doe, and then he starts chasing them. It was one of the wildest things we've ever seen.
Yeah, their hair is actually hollow, so they float no problem. They have zero issue swimming. So they float it's no big deal to them. So if you, a lot of people...
Unless they fall in the pool.
And they're babies. Then not so much.
Then they sink until they float.
Ooh. Rest in peace, little buddy.
Buddies?
How many?
3.
Really?
Yeah.
All in the same year?
No.
Oh, spaced out?
We've lost 3, saved 2.
Oh, well done.
You ever put your hands on a fawn?
Yes. Yeah. It was looking at me weird, and I just...
Nice.
Yeah.
Pause on.
So in the 1950s, the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, otherwise known as the DNR, began an effort with a partnership to reintroduce wild turkeys to the state. 50 wild turkeys were purchased from Pennsylvania and released into the open woodlands of Allegan County, helping strengthen and diversify the population. 30 years later, wild turkeys from Missouri and Iowa were released across the state. There are now 200,000 wild turkeys gobbling across Michigan thanks to half a century of partnership. Conservation success stories like the reintroduction of wild turkeys in Michigan are an example of what's possible through years of strong partnerships and community support. Goes on to list some stuff about the Wild Turkey Federation, blah, 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 helping wild turkeys thrive. So Michigan turkeys have always been around. They got decimated pretty good. Lack of really hunter regulation and habitat destruction. But, that is one of the things that, we like to dog on and trash talk 3-letter agencies in particular. But, especially as hunters, we're not big fans of the DNR all the time or conservation officers. You don't want to run into them. But at the end of the day, when they're doing stuff like that and helping reintroduce populations and keep the sport and the game and the habitat alive, they really do a good job managing. and putting out the right quotas and giving us the right information and giving us the right resources to be able to partake and participate.
I think there's a lot of good people within those agencies.
I believe so.
I really do, and they're doing good things and they have the right mindset with it. I just think that a lot of that gets overshadowed by poor leadership in most situations.
Yeah, because a lot of things are an appointed position within a government. Like within the government, I know a lot of DNR positions are
anything
appointed.
Anything that's government funded,
right? But I think as a whole, like the conservation side of things in the DNR, like they have a passion for it and they want to see it thrive, and they know that by the American model, how it's set up, that they rely on hunters to accomplish what they want. At the end of the day, they want a more realistic, as natural and as untouched population of animals and ecosystem as they can get. They're really conservationists at heart, and what they recognize is partnering with hunters gives you the greatest opportunity, it gives you the greatest funding, it gives you the greatest people, it gives you the greatest workforce, army to go out and execute everything that they need. And a lot of people take up arms and issues with a conservation officer, like, oh man, I hate COs because blah blah blah. It's like, well, it's because you do things illegally most likely, or you just don't like them ruining your hunt, which I get it. I've had green pants walk out in a field during a hunt. It's like, ooh, not fun. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, dude, you're just doing your job, and what your job does is really beneficial and supportive. As long as my crap is together, I have no reason to have an issue.
There shouldn't be any problems. If you're uneasy, it's because you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing.
I got tags in my pocket. I got the right amount of orange on, or I got the right equipment. I'm not carrying anything illegal. I got a plug in my gun. I'm not poaching anything. It's like, I'm following the rules. And as long as you're following the rules, man, when a CO walks out in a field, you should be, unless he spooks off your Boone and Crockett buck, you're just about to draw back on. Then I'd have an issue with him.
I think you're less likely to have a CO walk up on you while you're bow hunting.
Probably.
Unless you're on public land.
Right. Yeah, especially private land. And the places that we hunt, you're just never going to see them.
Yeah. Unless I feel like the only situation is if they're watching you and they see you do something. So you pull up to a property with your truck and trailer and ATV, and he sees you back your ATV off the trailer
and take your drone out, or put your bow or your shotgun on loaded without a case, no orange, and sees you go in. That's one thing. Right. But in all reality, it's like, you really should never have to take up any issue with the CO unless you're doing something out of sorts, which, there's plenty of people that do, unfortunately. And that's the thing with hunters, that we're so opinionated and we're so I'm doing it my way and I don't give a crap about, most hunters that I know really have an issue with the government.
I think the DNR and the COs catch a bad rep just because they're inadvertently affiliated with the government. Right. And what I think is a real bummer is that of all of the government agencies and government appointed officials, I'm not saying they're all good, but I'm saying I think the DNR operates better than the FBI and the CDC and the ATF and MSNBC. You mean the gay TF?
The gay TF. Praise God, I just learned about that.
Yeah. I agree.
Alcohol, tobacco, and anyways. We don't have a bleep button, so I can't say fill
in the blanks, folks.
Anyways, but the DNR, it's good, and especially for efforts like that. I think about, I got the opportunity to hunt turkeys with my grandpa, and he didn't really get that as a kid growing up. He wasn't able to go out and hunt turkeys because they just weren't around. My mom growing up, they never saw turkeys, but they're like, man, we saw pheasants everywhere, and
now that's flipped.
Yeah, now that's flipped. Now we got turkeys running around like crazy. The pheasants, which speaking of that, the pheasants have been down like crazy because there used to be, what is it about?
I actually had that conversation with somebody the other day. We were talking about hunting and everything, and he's like, man, I don't really bow hunt anymore. But he says, the one thing you guys your generation really missed out on is the pheasant hunting.
Yeah.
He goes, you just get in the truck with your buddies and you're driving up an old country road and you find one along the side of the road and
Smoking ditch chickens, man.
Yep.
But
I always wonder what the legality of that is.
that probably not so much. But I got a couple friends. It's my fiance and I's marriage counselor's husband. He's a big pheasant hunter. Loves shooting birds. And, he goes out and does like the European shoots and the tower shoots. He's like, Reed, you always got to come along. His name's Jack. Jack's always telling me, you got to come out, man. Because they're releasing birds and you're just sitting there like smoking them all day long. And he goes, what you really got to do, like
Fair chase, baby. Fair chase.
Well, what you really got to do, he talks about this a lot, is he goes, you got to go hunt with dogs. He goes, because those dogs just lock right onto something and they're just dialed in on it. And he gets so invested into this dog hunting thing, dude. He's just so enamored by it. And, it's like a bunch of, our grandparents growing up, they had that opportunity to just take their dogs out.
For wild birds, not bird farm.
Right.
I don't know. A bird that I paid $12 for, I hate just blasted out of the sky.
If I get to eat it at the end, I'm happy.
But do you eat it?
I would. You wouldn't?
Like if you went on a grouse hunt or something and you knew that bird was a pen bird.
Yeah. Yeah, if I don't eat it, I'd be like, what the heck was that for?
Right.
That would feel more dirty to me.
I just wonder what percentage of people. Yeah, drop in the comments with this, guys. If you're the kind of European style like upland bird hunting where you purchase these birds from a bird farm, release them, and let your dog spook them up and then kill them, do you eat them? Or do you just toss them? Let us know.
Man, I feel like you'd just be a terrible person if you toss that bird out.
Right. But don't a lot of people do it with like doves?
I feel like you're just a terrible person if you toss a dove out.
Right.
Like if you're just going to shoot something other than like a critter, like, okay, like I got no issue shooting coons and muskrats and all sorts of little ground dwelling beasts like gophers and like.
I just heard you Minnesota for a second there. Gophers.
It comes out every once in a while, don't you know? Groundhog, stuff like that, dude, because like they kill chickens and they're destructive. Got no problem killing those things and letting them lie. What I do got a problem with is killing stuff like just for funsies. And when I was a kid, I had to learn, like I had to grow out of this. But like when I was a kid, dude, oh yeah, just everything died. It had to. And nowadays it's like, okay, I don't need to shoot that bird. Because like,
yeah, for me, it's like, I'm not going to kill a fox squirrel or a black squirrel. It's like those things they're not hurting anybody. But the red squirrel that's just eating a hole in my couch cushion, yeah, you got to die.
Right. Yeah.
Chipmunks got to die.
Dead.
Any destructive animals.
100%. Yeah. And like, I even have a hard time with possums nowadays too. Like, because I found out pretty quickly, like you can just run up on a possum and grab it. And then you just relocate them and the main reason I don't like killing possums because it's like, they're so beneficial to the habitat, eating ticks. They're beneficial for like just eating insects, keep everything in order. They're really not doing any harm.
I have heard though, they're not good for deer. Wasn't it? It was Bodie that told us that.
That's right. That's why we went possum killing that one night.
Yeah. Because originally I was like, I changed my mind on possums because they ate ticks and everything. But I remember having a conversation where they said they can still carry certain diseases.
That's right.
Just not rabies because their body temperature is too low, but they can carry other diseases and it's not good for cows, horses, and deer.
Interesting.
And I remember, I think
something about their poop.
No, that's raccoons.
Yeah.
That is raccoon.
On hay and stuff kills horses.
Yes.
That's why raccoons die. Raccoons die always.
Well, we talked about it. They have the worms and the worms get stagnant in the poop. But they never die. They just stay dormant until the poop gets disturbed, and then it gets airborne.
Airborne worms. That sounds like a miniature version of a graboid from Tremors.
Yeah, we looked it up. I forget what the kind of worms they are, but there's a larva.
I hate worms.
Pretty nasty stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like a swimmer's itch. It's just like a little snail that burrows down in your skin. Ooh,
yep.
It's not fun.
Yep.
Or at least that's what I've been told. But how do we get on that?
We were talking about possums. Killing critters.
Oh, yeah, but like just to go out and kill something because, you want to pull the trigger and it's like a moving target. I get that. Like, I understand. You see something inherently inside you're just like, I think I could hit that with a 22.
Yeah.
And it is fun. Like, it is. But when you really start thinking about it, as I've grown up and as, my fiance's daughter loses her mind crying when I shoot a muskrat, it's like, okay, the risk reward there really isn't that high. And then you have to explain to her, like, hey, the muskrat was going to eat the chickens, and we need to keep the chickens safe.
I just kind of pivoted to the mindset of like, that animal has a heartbeat. God created that animal and I'm about to end its life. There has to be a good reason why.
And so that's where I relay back to is like, God created us to lord over the animals. And that is not a good steward to just kill something without purpose. Without, I'm going to eat that. I'm going to save this other animal. I'm going to keep the population of the animal that I'm shooting in check. I'm going to keep it in check by killing it to cut the disease spread down, or, to be able to give the habitat time to rebound so that the rest of the animals can, culling. I'm going to kill them a certain amount of deer so the deer that are presently living are going to have a better chance. Like, it's all about management. And that's what the DNR does phenomenally at. They're all about like deer management. Hey, go kill more does. Go shoot more things that are going to help our like populations thrive better and not overrun the landscape. But like, going back to like shooting just to eat, it's like, I'm not just going to shoot something to kill it just because it's fun. Not anymore. Like, as a kid, sure, you get your rocks off pulling 22 triggers left and right. But as you grow up, it's like, have a purpose of it. Take care of and be a wise steward of the land. And kill raccoons. That's all you got to do.
Just coons.
Coons and groundhogs. Groundhogs can die anytime.
Red squirrels.
Red squirrels are evil.
Yep.
I think those survived through the flood and they were supposed to die, but I think they made it somehow.
Same thing with chipmunks. Woodchucks.
I don't mind chipmunks. Woodchucks are so bad, dude. I used to work at an ag. Well, actually, every job I've ever held through college, I worked for a landscape company and I worked for an agricultural supplier, retail ag supplier. And both of my bosses there would give you a pat on the back and just everything shy of a raise if you killed a woodchuck on the job. So we'd be like, loading up mulch to go out for the day, and I'd see a woodchuck run up on the rock pile, and I'd like army crawl through all the deep grass and like pull up my 9mm. Whatcha! Like Matt would come around like, who's shooting guns on the property? I'd be standing there holding woodchuck. And he's like, yes. The same thing with
dude, they're smart.
Oh my gosh, dude, I hate woodchucks.
They're like I will give this to them. Their eyesight and hearing is incredible. Because like we get them all around the house here, and I cannot kill them with the 22 air rifle. It won't kill them. So I have to shoot them with my bow.
Yep.
And I've done pretty good. I think I've killed probably 10 or 12 in the last 4 years. I'll usually get 2 or 3 a season. I got one yesterday, but it took me like 9 or 10 attempts of him coming out of his hole before I could get it. Like any slight little movement while I was trying to get drawn back on him, boom, they're gone.
Yeah.
They're so smart.
Yeah. Well, there's the only other way to kill a woodchuck. Okay, if you're going to shoot it, that's one thing. You got to go like a little bit longer range on that. If you can get them in an open field and you can get between them and their hole, you can run them down. I've done it. And you just boot them.
Conibears.
Yeah. Conibears just aren't as fun.
Because they're going back to their hole at the end of the day. You get it over there at the night and smoke them when they come out.
That's true. And that's really funny because they're just face up in the hole. And things just right around their neck.
I need to get one for this one. I'm having trouble getting him.
Yeah. But I killed another woodchuck with a bow on the job while I was working at, well, I won't say their name just to protect that identity, but I was working with that ag retailer and was stalking through the parking lot in the middle of the day, like in the middle of the busy season with a bow and like down in the big catch basins for the liquid fertilizer tanks, like drawn back on this woodchuck, like army stalking. It was awesome.
I still remember the phone call we had. You were on the phone, on speakerphone with me, and you're just like, oh, woodchuck, and I'll be back. And then you just hear like, it goes quiet, and then you hear, then like 45 seconds later, Yeah, I got him. I just punted him across the field.
Size 12 Ariat, double wide.
Yep.
Yeah, running about Mach 2 with an ostrich stride. They don't know what hit him. They're like, what the heck is that? Go boom. Actually, at the last second, they always turn to fight. It's phenomenal. I have so much respect for woodchucks in that. 200-pound, 6'4" man comes running at him at the last second when it's game time. Woodchucks and muskrats will always turn to fight. Like, they quit running and they will turn, and like muskrats especially, man, they will jump on you, and like the little girl will come out of you really quickly. And then you got to realize, like, hey, I'm 30,000 times bigger than you.
Yeah, but they also have chisel teeth.
Yeah, I haven't been bit yet, but I've definitely put the smack down on woodchucks, and we scrapped a little bit. So, anyways, kill critters, boys and girls. Caleb, what you got, buddy?
I just love the way these go. We're going to do a quick 20 minutes. You never know what's going to happen. All right, headline reads, Hunter dies after consuming CWD-infected venison.
And that's why I'm in his chair tonight.
Chronic wasting.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Hold on. I was making a dumb joke. No way. He was frail. He was from Europe.
Chronic
cortados.
Chronic wasting disease has been sweeping through American deer herds since it was first detected at captive cervid facility in Wyoming in 1967. In all the decades since, there have never been a documented and confirmed instance of always fatal neurological disease jumping the species barrier from cervids into humans. According to a new study published last week in the journal Neurology, that long discussed and frequently dreaded transmission of CWD from hunter harvested deer into human beings might have actually occurred in 2022.
Might have or did.
The study title alone is enough to perk the ears of anyone who followed the CWD epidemic along the years. 2 hunters from the same lodge afflicted with the sporadic CJD, it reads, is chronic wasting disease to blame. The authors go into a highlight a cluster of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, CJD, cases after exposure to chronic wasting disease infected deer. Those findings are subjective to potential prion transmission from the CWD infected deer to humans. CJD is better known for its association with mad cow disease. Like CWD, mad cow disease is transmitted in cows through misfolded proteins called prions. And like CWD, it causes a cascade of brain-related maladies that ultimately lead to death in bovines unlucky enough to contract it. Mad cow disease has also been shown to transmit to human beings through the consumption of infected beef. When the disease manifests in people, it is referred to as Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, or Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. The recent paper describes an unnamed hunter who contracted CJD after a regular consumption of venison from a deer infected with chronic wasting disease. In 2022, a 72-year-old man with the history of consuming meat from a CWD-infected deer population presented one of a rapid onset of confusion and aggression. Those are classic symptoms of Creutzfeldt-Jacob's disease. Despite aggressive symptomatic treatments of seizures and agitation, the patient's condition deteriorated and he died within a month of initial presentation. The study goes on to state the diagnosis was confirmed post-mortem as sporadic CJD. Given the patient's history of consuming CWD-infected deer meat, an author suggests a possible novel animal-to-human transmission of CWD. They also studied the case of one of the hunter's friends who ate venison from the same deer population. That person recently died from Creutzfeldt-Jacob's disease as well. The neurology study doesn't reveal where the individuals who contracted CJD lived and hunted, but the CDC says the CWD has been detected in 32 states to the date, with the most recent case being found in Kentucky last fall. The authors of the April 9th study...
This is all in Kentucky?
I don't think they said where he's from. The authors of the April 9th study are quick to point out the causation for the recent CJD cases and hunters remain unproven. But their findings underscore the grave threats of consuming CWD-infected meat and the importance of having deer meat tested for CWD by your state fish and game agency whenever possible. Seemed like clickbait to me, but also really ironic. Almost too ironic.
That they consumed CWD infected meat and then got CJD?
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah.
From the same region. But what I don't understand is the similarities between CJD and CWD. Mad cow disease and CWD.
Is this the beginning of Zombieland?
This is where it all starts, baby.
Freaking Yeah, okay.
Is it a coincidence that two people in the same region post-mortem?
My pride, my previous beliefs, my opinions want to say, these guys are weak. This is no big deal. Look at one guy, 70 years old, probably double jab, triple boosted, trying to scare hunters from eating meat that's infected. They're going to come out and say it's all infected. You can't have any deer meat anymore. But man, dude, I'm going to try to keep an open mind on this.
It was on CNN.
Oh,
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Just kidding. It was NPR.
Yeah.
Today on NPR, CJD deer meat.
I was going to say, you would have known. I would have changed my voice tone.
Oh, dude. They must go to, there must be a minor in college, in communications for NPR News speakers. It's like, you guys just need to be a little more lively. Good night.
They just go find people under the ASMR category of Instagram.
Dude, ASMR, y'all need to chill. And I'm not going there. Stop. I'll take my headphones off and I'll walk out of this. Do not do the thing. I can't handle you. I cannot do the ASMR thing, dude. Hunter will sit over here and he's like, I'm like, it's so bad. What I want to try to keep an open mind about is there has always been warning of this. And, it's a total possibility. People can, contract diseases from eating things that are infected by whatever, right?
If it's undercooked, though? What's the rule? I don't
That's
see
what
that.
I don't know.
I don't understand the science of it. Is this
Because
somebody?
what bear you got to cook to 170? Is it 175?
I think it's 160.
160.
So if is my question is, you get a deer, most people like their back straps 145.
Medium rare.
Medium rare.
Yeah.
So if it has CWD, if you cook it to 160, are you good?
Yeah.
Yeah. So because it kills any bacteria.
But then the reality is do we want to be eating venison that tough?
No, that's
Right.
why most people don't like venison, because that's what their first experience with venison was.
It's tough. It's hard.
Yeah.
Unless you let that puppy marinate, and then it gets a little bit softer. But everything inside me from my previous experience and beliefs about CWD and what Uncle Ted Nugent says is it's not a big deal. But now there's this reality of hey, this might be something that can happen. I have never personally come across a deer that's had CWD. I've never had a deer tested because I just looking at them I only shoot healthy deer.
You ever seen one that looks real scuzzy?
No, not really. And I've hunted CWD positive units, and I'm in some of the upper corners of them, out in the boonies where literally I'm maybe a quarter mile away from the boundary where it's fine to just say whatever. So I don't really have a big concern about CWD ever. And I don't think it's as big a deal as what all the DNR and conservation people make it out to be, but it is a real threat. If they're, once again, to back up what I was saying earlier, I do believe that a lot of what the DNR preaches is true. So if they're saying it's an issue, then it's okay, something to keep in mind of, but am I going to be the one that's going to be able to stop it all or not? Am I going to go and check my deer all the time? Because if it's a really gross looking deer, I'm going to take it in and get it checked. Especially knowing hey, you can contract diseases, or even if there's just a deer, it's just looking mangy. I'm
If you see one that's looking mangy, will you kill it?
It depends on how it's acting. if I see a deer that's really hurting, or like, I can see that it's pretty clearly out of its mind, then I'm going to probably consider just giving that a good old mercy kill and burning a tag. Because it's like, I don't really want that in the population. And I also don't want the deer to suffer. Like that's a really hard thing to see as a hunter, is a deer suffering, believe it or not. Because it's like, you really do love these animals and you want to see them like well taken care of. If there's one in the herd, even down to the point where it's like, you might do a cull kill if you see a messed up rack or messed up genetics, because you're just like, I just don't want that in the herd. Like, I want the healthiest and the best. So you see something that's bad, if it's acting real mangy, real bad, I'm like, I might take that one out tonight. But then it makes me wonder, like, okay, do I want to eat this? Like, if you put two deer side by side, this one has CWD, this one does not have CWD. Which one are you going to eat? I'm not going to be like, it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to eat the one without CWD.
Right.
And it's not like I'm scared of the one that has CWD. Like, if I had a deer that I killed and they said, like, hey, it's CWD positive, I'd look at the meat and be like, looks fine. Deer wasn't overly mangy, but if they came back and told me it had a little CWD in it, I'd be like, we'll give her a go.
Just cook it to jerky.
There you go. Yeah.
A little bit of extra salt.
Right. Let the little zombie apocalypse break out and see what happens.
I'm not as worried about it. It just was very coincidental.
The fact that two people in the same region, now I don't even know what that means. Like, they didn't say the same county, they said same region.
North America.
Yeah, two people in North America died. It's like, okay, big whoop. Like, it was probably something else. But
yeah, I would be interested to see like where the origins of the CJD actually comes from. Like, I'd like to see the stats on how many people in the United States per year die from CJD. And then that would help us at least like if it's a small number of like 10 to 15 people per year die from CJD, that would be very, very coincidental that both of those were linked to CWD positive meat.
About 478 CJD deaths were reported in the United States in 2013.
400?
478. About one case per million.
Oh, man. That is a very low number. That does
2020 approximate deaths, 538.
Wow.
It has been on the uprise, though. But also at the population. So suck it. Not a big deal. Eat your CWD deer. No big deal. Kill them all.
Or just cook it to the proper temperature.
Just let me put out my bait pile.
True.
Actually, now that I'm like, a mature hunter and a big boy, I don't want to hunt over a bait pile. But I do want to stink and put in a food plot.
Yes. No, not bait.
And I want to put out a salt lick.
Like, I don't want to hunt over a bait pile. I want to be able to have a truckload full of corn and protein that you can feed them year round. So you're giving them proper nutrition so the meat tastes better and you're growing bigger antlers.
Mm-hmm.
Like that to me is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about putting a pile of apples or sugar beets right underneath your deer stand. It's about being a good steward. And like, if you have an area where all these deer have to eat is browse and there's no ag, like, I think it's dumb that you can't have a big feeder that goes off twice a day all year long.
Yep.
We're talking February to February.
Yep.
Just to get them that nutrition that they're not getting instead of having to go eating pine cones. Like, what do you think a deer's going to taste like that's eating pine cones?
Pine cones.
Yeah.
And on this episode of Head to Head, Reed wins again. Yeah, no, because that's a big thing. People talk about like eating venison. The one thing that we do have a little bit of bias on, or one thing that we do have a luxury on, is we eat southern deer. We eat ag deer. They are corn fed. They are bean fed. Deer
around here taste pretty good.
They taste phenomenal. But you get up north and they get really gamey really fast. And It's like, ooh, yeah, you've been in a cedar swamp.
Yeah. Pretty much tastes like something you'd eat if you were in a Viking village.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know what this is, but it ain't what you think it is.
Yep.
Yeah. It's pretty rough. So we do have that advantage. Now, once again, you have to just get more creative with how you're going to prepare it, how you're going to cook it, how you're going to tenderize it, how you're going to marinate it.
That has been awesome. Just like the resources we have online of like coming up with these incredible recipes. It's not just like chili, tacos, and like stew anymore. It's like
it's like 5-star meals.
bruschetta, Philly cheesesteaks. I'm trying to think of the other ones we've done. Smash burgers, like
smash burgers are good.
just like good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Good freaking stuff.
But
and I shout out Meat Eater for that because Meat Eater was like one of the first ones to actually roll out like a killer wild game cookbook across
they broke
the board.
The game, yeah,
they did.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out.
They just came out with a new cookbook too,
The outdoors one. Yeah.
I haven't got my hands on it yet, but it sounds good. Yeah. There was an episode they just dropped on YouTube talking about this chimichurri sauce that you put on venison. It actually will help break down some of the meat a little bit. I want to try that. Dude, even if you just put a marinade with liquid aminos in whatever you're cooking the next day, it's unreal. Like breaks it down, gives it that deep, bold flavor. It's a game changer. Apple cider vinegar, soaking your venison in that. It's like, whoa, dude.
I dig it.
Yeah, it's simple. But like, once again, we have a little bit better start than most of like Michigan. Northern Michigan gets a little rough. But I think about,
we just have access to resources where the parents' generation didn't. All you knew how to cook venison was what your grandma taught you.
Right. And
chicken fried venison, which is disgusting.
I never had it.
Think about like fried chicken,
Yep.
but a venison steak.
I could get there. It's kind of
yes,
like,
but how do you keep it medium rare?
yeah, no, it's not very possible. But anyways, cook your venison, boys and girls.
Do it.
Shoot raccoons, boys and girls.
All the above. Guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. We appreciate it. As always, we grow organically. So if you learned something, had some fun, make sure to share the show with somebody. You can find all our links via our Instagram, which is atasso.outfitters. All these videos, full length of the podcast, are on YouTube. So get over there if you like consuming your podcast in a video format. With that, I always forget to do that.
Oh, the little slow entry?
Yep.
The slow descent.
I always got to do it. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in, guys. We will catch you on the next episode. Have a great night.
Do we not have a bleep out button for the faggot thing? I don't think we have any gay people listening, but wait, CJ listens. But other than that, I think we're good.
Oh, sorry, CJ.
Get wrecked.